Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about the fallout, I guess, from the Trump administration in regards to where anyone who supported Trump is going to go or not be able to go. Because there have been a lot of calls in recent months to effectively blacklist anyone from the Trump administration or any close supporters or anything from the entertainment industry, from basically everywhere. And now there's a list. There's a list out here signed by a bunch of people working in mainstream publishing that there will be no book deals for Traitors.
I want to remind you again that the United States is a democracy, which means we have two parties and power shifts all the damn time. It's normal. It goes along with the way our government's set up. And, at no time has it ever been okay to say that if you voted for one party that you are, this, that, and the other, and you should be, questioned, apologize, not be allowed to have book deals or anything like that.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that because I think it's going to start out, with the more extreme cases. People who worked for the Trump administration, people who were involved in the riots. But I think it's going to work its way down to, and already has to some degree, anyone who actually voted for or is even quasi-sympathetic to Donald Trump. I think they're going to find themselves blacklisted from publishing, from Hollywood, from comics. We've already seen it.
Even if you didn't even vote for him, just because they assume you are, they're going to blacklist you.
Oh, yeah. I get people accusing me of being a Republican all the time.
I know.
It's like, I'm a libertarian. But
people are allowed
whatever.
to be Republican because the country is a two-party system.
3.
Well, there's more than 3, but I'm saying two main party systems. It used to be a 3-party main system, which I think it should go back to. But it's like now main two-party system. It is not a one party only. One party gets all the say, and if you're not part of that party, that you should be canceled in every way you can. Now, that being said, anybody who participated in the crap that went down at DC on the 6th, and that weren't there to peacefully protesting, that actually were involved in the bullshit, should be in trouble. Anybody who was at the protests in the summer for the Black Lives Matter rallies and took it past the peaceful protesting into illegal territory where they'd burned businesses, hurt people, destroyed buildings, destroyed cars, destroyed whatever, should also be in trouble for illegal activity and behavior. Both are domestic terrorism. Both are bad. One is not okay because it's on your side. I don't care which side you're on. If you're there peacefully protesting at either one of these events, you did nothing wrong. You stayed within your legal rights, and you are fine. And you should not be punished or held accountable for the acts of other people. The people that did the shitty things, you did shitty things. You win shitty prizes. Sorry.
So why don't we just have no book deals for political violence perpetrators?
Yes, exactly. Because this whole thing takes a stance that only one side are domestic terrorists. No, both are.
So we're going to talk about that and what is probably going to wind up happening. Obviously the entertainment industry is mostly left, so is publishing, and we're going to see more of this. But
that should not be determined by your politics about whether or not you have a voice or get it to do things like publishing or TV or whatever. This is bullshit, and I've never in my life seen anything like this.
Yeah, we'd have to go back to our grandparents' lifetimes to see something similar to this. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 171,000 subs. Thank you. We try not to get too political, but we do talk about the publishing industry.
This is just bullshit the whole way around.
And this is kind of the worst case scenario that we've been talking about, that there's going to be blowback after Biden gets into office for people that Twitter feels are political adversaries.
That's the problem. It shouldn't be this way. I mean, people who did bad things, I agree. People who, actually were the ones breaking in the White House or whatever was going on then. Yeah, okay, I can see your point there. I would agree that maybe you shouldn't probably give them book deals. Yes. But I would say the exact same damn thing to people that were holding a block of the city hostage or were burning down businesses where they didn't care who owned it, what color the skin of the person was owning it. They were just burned down to burn down.
All right, so I got to give a hat tip to Sabine, who sent this over. I didn't even know this is going on. I mean, we've talked about the publishing industry on some levels. We actually at one point in time had a New York City agent. We were kind of, in that.
Who was not on the list, by the way.
Not on the list.
No, I was surprised. I thought they would be.
And, this is, look, first, publishing companies are private companies. They can work with or not work with whoever they choose. But
they can dictate to everybody else who they can and can't work with. Like, if someone doesn't work with the right person, they'll sit there and say, well, you need to boycott them because they didn't let so-and-so into their business. But that, as they turn around and tell people they can't be in their business.
Well, what's interesting about this list, and there are some authors on here, including Chuck Wendig.
Oh, yeah, surprise, Chuck Wendig.
Chuck Wendig is on here. He signed it. And Barry Lyga, who I believe has done some Marvel and DC books and stuff like that. But there are a lot of editors, assistant editors, literary agents, the gatekeeper types. Now, what's interesting about this is how overt it is. There has been some low-key blacklisting going on in comics and publishing for years, but it was usually based on your social media profile.
Which you're not allowed to do, by the way.
Technically, no.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a formal blacklist, though, but to actually put
it is a formal blacklist.
This is, yeah. In comics and stuff, it really wasn't a formal blacklist. It was, we know there's a list because they were sending it around to people.
Yes.
They asked you if you wanted a copy
of it. I knew who to block and everything else, yes.
And it turned out that they did not realize we were Clownfish TV. And, apparently we're probably on the list here, too. But this is a call for a formal blacklist. And even, if people don't sign it, they're going to probably be like, yeah, because we know our editors and our agents and our other talent, they're not going to like, so we're not going to do this. Currently, it is limited only to people who worked in the Trump organization, worked in the administration, and those who participated in the unfortunate events of January 6th.
But because somebody's part of an administration, they really do not have the right to say that they are blocked just because they worked for the president they didn't like. Because if that was the case, any president who didn't get reelected in history should have nobody from their campaign or their party or anybody should be allowed to have a book deal ever. This is stupid.
Do you want my hot take before we read this?
Yes, go ahead.
My hot take is money talks. And I guarantee you, if somebody who was close to Donald Trump saddled up to one of these publishers and said, hey, I will write a tell-all, you'll get the inside scoop on all the shit that went down in this administration, you better believe they'd throw the millions of dollars.
Oh, I think you're right. But this whole idea, the idea behind this, that if you aren't the right kind of person, you shouldn't be allowed to say anything. Only the voices we like get to put stuff out here. This is a problem. This is a big problem because this is censorship. This is trying to be politically biased. This is trying to promote one side over another. There's all these things. Let's put it this way: if we said this in reverse, they would be losing their shit. Because how very dare you? If Trump had won again. And then they said, okay, guess what? Anybody who was part of Biden's anything is not allowed to have a book deal ever, not allowed to say anything ever. No one who had anything to do with the protests this summer that burned down buildings and businesses and stuff can say anything ever. The shit would hit the fan because that's censorship and it's wrong. Basically, my go-to is if you can flip it and it sounds like shit to you, then it's probably shit.
Yeah, there's a call, and we've seen this more in the last 4 or 5 years, I think, because of the Trump.
Nuts?
Yeah, where we've got a generation of people
entitled brats,
who think it's totally fine to call for censorship, blacklists. They think that deplatforming is the moral obligation of any right-thinking person. That if you want to be on the right side of history, you absolutely will deplatform people.
I just think it's funny because they hate people on the right, but they always say the right side of history and the right think and everything else. And it's hilarious because, but here's the thing. And then they'll all lose their shit and they all get mad at people like us or other people who aren't even, we don't even lean right. I don't think both extremes are full of shit.
They're trying to play sorting house. We're talking about the publishing industry. They're trying to play sorting house. So what these people do is they go out and they check your social media. They check to see who you follow. They check to make sure you're one of them and not one of the wrong thinkers. And this has been going on silently for years. I can tell your own experience. I'm going to be honest. I think we were the wrong kind of people.
Well, they thought that you were a black dude.
Yes.
And I was, and me being a woman, and then they found out that we were white, and then suddenly the attitude changed. I'm not gonna lie, that's what happened. That's the honest to God truth of what happened.
I am 95% convinced that our agent, because he'd only talked to me on the phone, I think he thought I was a black dude.
Because a lot of people think that. By the way, there's a lot of people going, "Oh my gosh, Kneon's not black." Because that always happens. No, he's not.
Well, because
his family's Hispanic though.
Yeah. So I guess that counts. Well, AOC thinks that Hispanic people are black.
I'm not saying it's the same thing, but they're going on about you're white, so you have no. You know, it's like you don't know anything about any of this stuff, and it's like, but his step family is like they're all. Hispanic. Yeah,
because I know this is, I don't know for sure, but anecdotally, I know that there was a difference in the haste of getting our book pitches out there once I sent in our headshot, and it was kind of like, so I don't know. I mean, I could be totally wrong on this.
No, you're not wrong, because the same author or the same agent tried to tell me that I wasn't feminist enough.
That is true. It was a male agent tried telling a woman that she wasn't
right,
feminist
and it's
enough.
like, have you met me? Yeah. Don't tell me that I'm not feminist.
So here we go. No book deals for Traitors. This is a letter of intent from publishing professionals of the United States.
They don't like money.
They don't. We all love book publishing, but we have to be honest. Our country is where it is in part because publishing has chased the money and notoriety of some pretty sketchy people.
That works both ways. You do know this, right?
Okay, so this is... Wait a second.
Publishing has chased people we don't like politically.
They're making this out like this is some like really like well-spoken document that we're gonna declare this. It's right up there with the Declaration.
It's automatically biased in the very first paragraph.
It's right up there with the Declaration of Independence. Immediately, it's like publishing's chased money and some pretty sketchy people.
They're icky. They don't vote. They don't vote for Biden. Ew.
Oh my God! His grandson people, respectability, and a lot of money through sweetheart book deals.
There are a lot of people who get book deals who shouldn't get book deals on both sides. I'm sorry. Don't make it out like it's only one side. That's a load of shit. I'm calling out your shit. It is shit. Sorry, shit is the word. And today's show is brought to you by the word shit.
As members of the writing and publishing community of the United States, it sounds like they think they're senators or something.
As members of, there's a lot more people besides them, though.
We affirm that participation in the administration of Donald Trump must be considered a uniquely mitigating criterion for publishing houses when considering book deals.
Well, what about? Okay, wait a minute though. But what about some of the other stuff that we see surrounding things? Like we have, Biden is not exactly without any kind of scandal at all. I'm sorry, just politicians in general, you're going to find out there's a lot of crap going on. I don't care who they are. Don't give me this.
Here we go. Here's some more. Consequently, we believe no participant in an administration that caged children, performed involuntary surgeries on captive women, and scoffed at science as millions were infected with a deadly virus should be enriched by the almost rote largesse of a book deal.
Okay. And notice how they only mention certain things. They don't mention that there's all the kinds of stuff that, that you can prove the same kinds of stuff on the other side as well.
Yeah.
Notice that's not mentioned there.
Of course not. Not.
Like the pictures of people in Wuhan and all the other stuff, that's not mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I think you're both full of shit. So maybe you both shouldn't have publishing deals. And then people who are in the middle and are rational, why don't we give those rational people the book deals instead?
I'm going to be honest. Publishing houses, they are private businesses. They can publish whoever they want.
But then they can't tell their people that they have to let people in their restaurant or whatever when they don't want to. Personally, I am a person who would let anybody in because I don't believe in discrimination. I do not believe in it. However, if you're going to argue that you can't do this because it's a private-owned company, then you can't tell the people who have a private-owned company that they have to follow a different set of rules than yourself. Mm-hmm. That's the issue.
No one who incited, suborned, instigated, or otherwise supported the January 6th coup attempt should
Basically, they're going to check your Twitter to make sure you didn't agree with it.
Yes, that is exactly what they're doing.
I would also say anybody who incited, supported, instigated, or otherwise, otherwise supported the riots and looting of the summer of 2020 should also not be allowed to have book deals either. Those of you that were there peacefully protesting at either one of these events did nothing wrong. But those of you who are out there burning buildings, breaking into the White House, hitting people with, bats and chairs, punching women in wheelchairs, etc., none of you should be allowed to have book deals either way, because you're all wrong.
Especially that guy who punched Rick Moranis.
Yeah, he definitely shouldn't get a book. No, okay, that's what everybody was united in. You don't mess with Rick Moranis.
That guy who punched Rick Moranis.
And
fuck
don't
that
mess
guy.
with Betty White. Those are two things that everybody agrees on.
Could you imagine that would bring our country together like nothing else if somebody punched Betty White in the face? God forbid that ever happens.
Yeah, I know. It would just,
we'd all be united in support of Betty White.
Kicking the shit out of them. Anyway.
But just the way that they talk about publishing, this is the problem. Okay?
They're acting like the publishing houses are like the
church.
The pureness of the publishing houses. There is so much backbiting bullshit that goes on in publishing houses. It's ridiculous.
They should not have that. I need to do this in the fake British accent. It's going to be very terrible.
I can't do an accent. I don't do accents.
They should not have their philosophies removed.
You can't even do it, don't.
And disseminate through beloved publishing houses. Beloved publishing houses.
That we're trying to make sure we control.
Okay, we're going to talk about...
Control the narrative and control everything.
I was getting it spat out, and then you were like, you suck at this.
You do suck at it.
I do. Never mind. Okay, so Son of Sam laws exist to prevent criminals from benefiting financially from writing about their crimes. We're gonna talk about that too, in that spirit, not in that legal,
not in the legal of it, but in the legal spirit sense. Of that.
Those who enabled, promulgated, and covered up crimes against the American people should not be enriched through the coffers of publishing.
Can we want to talk a minute about all the bad news on the Democrat side that they deliberately blocked off of social media, that other countries were actually reporting on, that they blocked to make sure that Biden didn't have a black eye before the election? We talk about that. I'm just gonna call it out. Yeah. And in the past, it's not just him. We've seen the same thing happen with other candidates that certain people liked, that stuff would come out about, and it would suddenly be, covered up and hidden until afterwards. That's not okay. I love this. It shouldn't be, these people who do these things shouldn't be enriched as they enrich people who do these things. Look, it's all shit. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Slap yourself and say I'm dumb.
The first... person who, if Mike Pence wanted to write a tell-all book about his life in the White House with Donald Trump and it was negative, these people, they would lose their shit and they'd all be jumping at the
Well, you know why they're doing this, right? Because if it's to be believed about what happened with the election, about half the country voted the other way. And we can't have that. That's too high of we have to make sure that we make sure we distill this down. So we have to make sure we turn as many people as possible. And how do we do that? By making sure only one side has a voice, which is against democracy. I don't have to agree with your opinion. I don't have to agree with what you believe. But I also understand that you have the right to say it.
Yeah.
That it's a load of shit if you're only one voice is allowed to be heard. That's not what this country is about.
We are writers, editors, journalists, agents, and professionals in multiple forms of publishing. We believe in the power of words, and we're tired of the industry. We love enriching the monsters among us, and we will do whatever it is in our power to stop it.
I, too, am tired of the industry. We love enriching the monsters among us who write bullshit like this. And we need to do something about it. I can rewrite this whole thing, change it a little bit, and I think it would be more reflective of the people in general, as opposed to these extremists, which are wrong no matter, I don't care which side you're on. If you're an extremist, you're full of it. Just stop.
So I'm going to say just because they're not on the list of signees does not mean that they're not on board with this.
Oh, no, I'm sure they will.
Because we know...
They don't want, I'm sure you would hate to have to lose your job, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But yeah, it's kind of shocking. Not really, but it is. I mean, we've got, some pretty big literary agents here. We've got, a lot of the major publishing houses recognized. Scholastic's on here.
Well, I'm completely in agreement that people who participated in bad things shouldn't be given book deals. That I agree with them on. I do agree with you guys on that. I do agree if you participated in anything that would be considered domestic terrorism, you should not be given a book deal. I do agree with you. However, the domestic terrorism there's been two extremes of it in the past year, and you're only covering one of those extremes. And I will guarantee you, if you look at these people's Twitter, you bet you a lot of them supported the other one.
I am 125% positive of that.
And I don't care what the reasoning behind it is. If you think, it was for something for good, it might have started out for something for good, but it became something that wasn't. And that was the problem. Those of you that were there protesting peacefully for good, you guys did the right thing and you were right and you were okay and you didn't do anything wrong. I don't care what, whether it be at the White House or be it at, the cities this summer. You did nothing wrong. You're standing up for what you believed in. You have a right as Americans to do that. It's when you cross the line that it becomes a problem. And some lines were crossed into domestic terrorism, both in the summer and in January. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry if you don't like to hear it, but it's the truth.
Oh, Paul Levitz from DC Comics is on there too. Yeah, I mean, it's they basically said, hey, we're not going to support. I mean, again,
and they're going to go look. The guarantee if it wants to submit, you're going to look at your Twitter to make sure you have your pronouns in your bio and you vote the right way.
They already do. They're just formalizing it. Let me be very clear. This is the publishing industry. This is Hollywood.
This is why everybody's stepping around them and they're losing money.
They already are checking you out to make sure you're the right kind of person before they give you any kind of work. And it will start with, again, the most extreme. We don't want people who worked in the Trump administration. Okay, fine. We don't want people who participated in the riots.
Well,
okay,
it's not fine.
Fine.
I mean, the riots one, yes, I agree with them. But just working in administration is not fine.
Well, I mean, again, private business, they can deny whatever. But what's going to happen, and it's already happening, and it's been happening for years.
It's discrimination.
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. They're going to go through your social media, and they're going to find out what kind of person you are.
But what I'm saying is, if somebody turns around and discriminates somebody who another publishing house discriminates somebody who they think should not be discriminated against, they will be the first ones to scream about discrimination and try to get them canceled or whatever, because you can't discriminate. My point is, if there's anything you hear someone say, and if you flip it to the other point, to your point of opinion, you disagree, like, okay, this. If there's anything you hear people say, and if you could flip it, it sounds like shit to you, then that's probably something you shouldn't do either way, because it's garbage either way. And then they bring up the Son of Sam laws, and I want to point out, Son of Sam law basically says that if you committed a crime or something, you shouldn't be allowed to use the money from publishing deals to keep. It should go to the victims. So fine, if these people, anybody who participated in the domestic terrorism of the summer, all that money should go to all the business owners and people that were injured in the riots that happened because of their behavior. And anybody who participated in the thing in January, and if something happened, that the money should go to any victims of their behavior. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's what it says. And it's not only one-sided, and they kind of are like twisting it a bit for this article.
Well, yeah, and you got to realize too, I mean, the Son of Sam law is kind of controversial. It said these laws have been criticized as violating
free speech
guarantee. The original namesake law from the state of New York was itself ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. The New York and other states have since passed laws.
State by state, yeah.
And you got to realize the publishing industry is in New York.
Right.
It's deep, deep, deep blue, and it is what it is. I mean, this just, is indicative of the polarization that's going on in there.
They're just going to keep it going.
Yeah, it's going to start here, and then it's going to get, trickle down to anybody who's Republican or, like the Trump tweet at any point in time, you're gone.
It's no longer a democracy because there's no other side other than the one side. So it's a dictatorship. It is not a democracy. The people don't get to decide. Literally half the country it was very, very close election. People were split. It's still up for debate about some things that were very questionable. We live in Pennsylvania, and I can tell you for a fact there were a lot of questionable things that went down in Pennsylvania. Contrary to what you hear, I can tell you that's true. But at the end of the day, if it goes by that, half the country still voted for Trump, whether you like it or not. And I think a lot of people voted for Trump, not because they liked Trump, but because they were tired of this kind of shit.
Yeah, it's the extremism that, it pushes people away. And, the Democratic Party is virtually unrecognizable from what they used to be even.
Because we were Democrats.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago. And
I'm just independent now because I think both extremes are full of shit.
Yeah.
Seriously, today's word is shit, just in case you haven't figured that out.
What is going to happen? Now, this is what I think is going to happen. This is in regards to everything, not just publishing, okay, but also in entertainment. We're seeing a divide. We're basically going to have two entertainment industries growing up alongside each other. But the problem is that the money is not going to cross the aisle. So you're basically going to have two industries that are, making half as much money as they could have because they appeal to one side or the other.
Is it because it sounds like to me like these people are going to go out of their way to try to make sure that anything other than theirs is canceled?
They'll just come up, another publisher will pop up.
But every time they try to have something different, like a new social media service, all of a sudden it gets labeled whether it's true or not and gets removed because it's bad. I'm like and the acts of themselves are questionable. and could even be labeled as, antitrust or anything like that because of the way they're behaving to make sure that competition is eliminated so only one voice can be heard. That is not what this country is about. I can't stress that enough. And just because someone votes differently than you does not mean that they should never get any voice in anything ever. And I would say it the same way if someone disagreed with me. I wouldn't say they shouldn't have a book deal or anything. That'd be dumb.
No,
I would never say that.
No, that's stupid. It's like, put your book out there, see how it sells. Let the market decide.
That's how I am. Free market, let the market decide.
And somebody. I mean, this is the thing. They can sign this, but like I said, if Mike Pence came to one of these publishers and said, for $10 million, I will tell you as much as I can tell you without, getting in trouble about what it was like working with Donald Trump every day. You better believe every one of these damn publishers would jump at the opportunity for it. Mm-hmm. Morals be damned. They would. They'd be like, that is money in the bank.
But the fact that people like AOC and stuff think that they should have to apologize and have like the Spanish Inquisition because how dare you work for somebody, even though you might have been assigned to it, you might have a choice, is absolutely ludicrous and ridiculous. And it's dangerous because it goes against what this country is about.
Yeah, well, I think we need to figure out what this country is about because it seems like we have opinions that are 180 from each other anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's scary because I can't remember a time that this country has ever been this divided.
I can't remember it either, and it's ridiculous. And you know who I blame for most of it? The media.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think the media just keeps stoking the fires, blowing things out of proportion, misreporting things, misrepresenting things.
And the joke at the end of the day, guys, is they all work for the same people. I mean, you see these extremist left and extreme right, they all work for the same people. For example, Disney and other companies threatened the Republicans that if they didn't vote the way they wanted to with the electoral college results, they were going to take their funding away. But they funded the Democrats too. So they all answer to the exact same damn people.
I don't like The Last Jedi, but I did love one scene in The Last Jedi with Benicio del Toro's character explaining to a very naive Finn that it was two sides of the same coin, that the X-Wings and the TIE Fighters came from the same place.
Right. They're all they're all owned by the same people. So while you're sitting here screaming at each other and divided because you're a hell of a lot easier to control.
That is right. Don't be the punchline of this joke. The joke.
Don't fall. Don't fall into what these people are doing on signing these lists. Don't be a douche.
I think people sign lists like this and they make a big production out of it.
Because they're afraid to get canceled.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly why they do it. I mean,
they're cowards.
I've seen it on social media with comics in particular, people going on these benders and this person should be canceled, and that person should be canceled. Then you find out later that they've got skeletons in their own closet that they're just deflecting. They're like, don't look at me, look at them.
There's people I disagree with. But the ones that stick to their guns, I might disagree with them, but I respect them in the fact that they stick to their guns and they don't just flip flop for whatever benefit they think they're going to get.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that just go where the wind blows to try to make sure that they always are on the side of good, so they always have their butt padded.
It's not the side of good; it's the side of what is good for me.
Quotes.
Good for me. What's
quotes.
Good for me. We had friends working in comics and animation, whatever, that won't talk to us anymore because we're the wrong kind of people.
Some of those friends, too, would tell us about how when you talk to them privately, they were cutthroat little assholes. But when they go publicly, they'd be like, oh, my friends, it's all about us working together. It's all about how we can help each other. It's all about improving and me helping you. And then behind their backs, they'd be like, well, it's all about making money. And I know it, but they're dumb enough to pay me.
Yeah, it's they're playing a game, but what they'll realize is that they advocate for this sort of thing, it's going to eventually bite them in the ass too. When you advocate for more censorship, eventually
it comes for you.
It comes for you too. So
when the powers that be decide they want to go a different direction, and then everything the winds all shift a different way.
Yeah, so that's it. You have to be firm, and again, it's like you're saying, even if you disagree with someone, you have more respect for them if they stand around.
There's people I disagree with all the time, but I respect that they truly believe what they say and follow through on it.
Yeah, so there we go. That is today's WTF video.
Brought to you by the word shit.
Brought to you by the word shit. And we're going to see more of this. We're going to see, I guarantee you, comics is going to do this. Animation's going to do this. Not necessarily the rioters, but basically like anyone who supported Trump. Because it is unspoken now, but they're going to formalize it and be like, you're on a list.
You don't even have to have done it. You don't have to have, you could have been just like somebody like, us in the middle, like saying, I think it's all full of shit. And you automatically are considered alt-right and told you're bad because you supported this stuff even though you didn't. You just said, I think what you're saying shit too. Doesn't matter. Because you didn't, 100%, pledge your allegiance to them. Then anybody who doesn't is considered, you'll be considered on this list.
Yeah, I don't even like politics. I
don't either.
I very seldom paid attention to politics until it overtook the pop culture scene.
Yeah.
It's all about politics.
I mean, it's like, you listen to what they had to say. And for me, I never voted just party. We always leaned Democratic, but, listen to what the candidates have to say. Because sometimes a candidate might not be from your normal party, but they might have better ideas than the other person. And you listened and you knew the issues and you voted accordingly. Now it's you have to vote, and this is on both sides. You have to vote strict one or the other, or you're a traitor. And the whole thing is ridiculous and stupid, and it's your right as an American to vote for whoever the hell you want to. If you want to vote for Daffy Duck, then you go vote for Daffy Damn Duck.
I don't know if I like his policies. But no, I am sitting here thinking, you said about that just real quick. My own ballot would have confused the hell out of people because I literally voted for Libertarians, Republicans, and Democrats on the same ballot.
Because you voted by who you thought was the best choice for the position, not because your party said if you didn't, you're a terrible person.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
Imagine that free thought. Who'd have thunk it?
They probably threw mine out. They're probably like, this can't be right. It's all over the place.
So let me get this straight. The people that claim to be the academics behind free thought are basically telling you only one line of thought is correct.
Yeah. And
if you don't agree with that, or if you participated in things that they didn't like, that you should not have a voice.
Yeah, pretty much.
See the double standard here? And they're all owned by the same people.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all owned by China. Better get used to it. This is what's going to be like. It's scary. You got to push back. Gonna wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.